BookTube, it's Gina, and today I wanted to do a quick May TBR. Now, for those of you who have been here before, you probably know that I generally don't do an official TBR. I have not in the past. I generally am a fly by the seat of my pants kind of reader. I just have a bunch of things on my Kindle. Obviously, I've got a lot of books here that I want to read. I'm constantly getting stuff in from the library. In the past, will routinely hit the used bookstore and the thrift store and buy books. So I constantly have a current rotation of things in, less things out, but some things out, and kind of always trying to keep things moving. But what I'm finding that being on BookTube for just this short time is that there are some fun events that I really want to participate with. And so for May, there are a few things I've got on the docket that I know I want to read. And so I thought I would share those out with you. The first one is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Does not have a cover on it. It's just a red old hardback. This was published in 1943, and this copy says, "This edition made by special arrangement with Harper and Brothers." I don't know who that is, but I've had this on my shelf for a long time. Not since 1943. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But Kate Howe, the wonderful channel Kate Howe, is doing a read-along in May of this book. And I really wanted to participate in that. And I've wanted to pick this book up for ages, so that's just the springboard that I need to finally pop this one on my list. So this is a definite read in May. Now, the other thing I will say, when I say definite read in May, I'm a little on the lazy side. I'm also not opposed to changing things up at the last minute. So, there's a possibility that any of these on my list get tossed. But this will be the least likely because it's going to be with the group. So I'm super excited to finally read A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. The second thing on my list is my BookTube spin book, which is The Overstory by Richard Powers. This was the Pulitzer Prize winner for fiction in 2019, and this was the book that was picked in the BookTube spin. So if you're not familiar with the BookTube spin, it is a game that is put on by the channel Rick McDonnell. I'll link that down below, and he spins a wheel, and whichever book you have put on your list that corresponds to the number that is chosen is the book that you will read in May and in June. And so this is a book that has also been on my TBR since probably 2019. I bought it back then, popped it on my shelf, and promptly forgot about it. So this is a really good opportunity to read this. And I'm super excited about this. I'm a little bit concerned because it's written in the present tense, which I sometimes struggle with a little bit. I've got Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel on my shelves. I started that and realized it's in the present tense, and it got on my nerves. So I gotta get past this. So hopefully this will encourage me to read this book, to get over my barrier to the present tense. The last blurb on the back of this book is, "The Overstory is a book for all readers who despair of humanity's self-imposed separation from the rest of creation and who hope for the transformative, regenerating possibility of a homecoming. If the trees of this earth could speak, what would they tell us? Listen, there's something you need to hear." Which I think that sounds just wonderful. So this is on my May list also. And then lastly, in the paper version is Infinite Country by Patricia Engle. And I really want to read this one because it's a new release, and I don't buy new releases very often. However, this was a delivery. I got a surprise delivery. I signed up for Third Place Books. It's our local indie bookstore. They've got a subscription that is signed first editions, 6 months, a monthly delivery of a new release signed book. And so for last month, this is the book that I received. And I really want to read this. I want to read all 6 of these books. I'm hoping that I can keep up with these every month when I get it. I want to read it so that since I don't read current books very often, I really want to take this opportunity to keep up with the few that I have. So, and I got a delivery notice from the post office that I have a package waiting for me, which I'm guessing is the next book, the second book in my subscription. So I want to read this before I get that new book. And this is a new release. Sounds wonderful. It is about a young woman being held at a correctional facility for adolescent girls in the forested mountains of Colombia after committing an impulsive act of violence that may or may not have been warranted. So I'm really excited. So this is definitely going on the list. So those 3 I will read. And then I also have 2 books on my Kindle that I've started already, but that I won't finish. And so I know that I will also be reading those. And the first one is Bleak House. So I like to always have a classic. Usually I have a classic going, and I've been wanting to read Bleak House. I've got it on my Kindle, and I just recently saw Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading mention how much she enjoyed it, so I thought I would grab that. So I'm about 20% of the way through that, so I will definitely continue on with that in May. And then also, this is really fun because this is one of the things that, 1, I love about BookTube, and 2, I love about my Kindle, and 3, I love about my library. You'll probably figure out where I'm going with this. But I was watching a video last night by Lady Jane Books. I'll link her down below. She's a super fun, new-ish booktuber also. And she was going over, I think, her April wrap-up. But she mentioned, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this is on my Kindle. This is a book called Murder in an English Village by Jessica Ellicott. And I saw her video. She was describing this book, Murder in an English Village. I mean, does that not have Gina written all over it? And I thought it sounded really fun. And so I hopped on my library Libby app. They had a copy. I downloaded it. I started reading it last night. So I'm getting so spoiled. Isn't it fantastic to be able to hear about a book, either buy it or borrow it for free from your local library? Just wonderful. So those are my 2 Kindle books, Bleak House by Dickens and Murder in an English Village by Jessica Ellicott. So that's actually 5 books on my TBR. I thought I was keeping it sort of minimal, but it's growing. But this one, Murder in an English Village, this is super easy, fast, quick read. So I should be able to just read that in the evenings in bed, curled up under the covers with my book. This one's really short too, so I'm imagining that won't be too difficult to read. I think the Overstory is going to be a little bit more complex and might take me a little bit longer to read. I may not finish that one in May. We officially, for the BookTube spin, have 2 months to finish the book. For those of you who just read one book at a time, you're probably going berserk right now because I tend to read a bunch of things at the same time. I do also have 2 things I wanted to mention as possibilities for my TBR. So if I get through these 5 and am looking for something else to read, I'm going to pick from one of these, which is The Summer Tree by Gavriel. He's a wonderful fantasy author. I've just read a couple of his books in the last year and absolutely fell in love with it. So I'm probably going to pick up this one soon. This is the first in a series called the Fianovar Tapestry. So this is definitely on my hopefully this month, but soon list. And then the second is A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. This is another one that's been on my shelf for a long time, and I'd really like to get to it. This sounds so good. The beginning is on a remote island in the Pacific Northwest, a Hello Kitty lunchbox washes up on the beach. Tucked inside is a collection of curious items, an antique wristwatch, a pack of indecipherable letters, and the diary of a 16-year-old Japanese girl named Nao Yusani. Ruth, who finds the lunchbox, suspects that it is debris from Japan's devastating 2011 tsunami. And the story continues from there. So it sounds fantastic. And I saw this last night. I was going down the BookTube rabbit hole. I saw this book on Cozy Rosie Reads, and it reminded me that I have it and that I want to read it. So I picked it up because Cozy Rosie, which is just a great name for a BookTube channel, mentioned it, and I remembered that I have it. I also, lastly, just bought a whole stash of books, so I'll be sharing those out with you when they arrive. I did a little order, and I've got my next, like I mentioned before, my next signed book from Third Place Books waiting for me in the mailbox. So super excited to unbox that and see what it has for me for next month. That is it for now. Thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.